Aw yeah, guys, the time is finally here. Bleach Chapter 648, the revelation of what Shunsui Kyoraku's bankai finally does. It's gonna be intense. It's gonna be GOAT. Hell, it might even be a little bit sexy. So let's dive right in and find out what the hell is going on. But first, I think it's time we do some little bookkeeping matters. You know, we have to get this straight away. So Shunsui's bankai has been something in debate in the fandom for quite a long time now, so a lot of people have had their assumptions of, you know, what it was going to be. So let's just, you know, give credits where credit was due. A lot of people assumed, you know, okay, right here, his Shikai makes children games reality, so his bankai would be something akin to that, something game-related, except with, like, adult games, you know, more strategic stuff, like chess or Risk or Cards Against Humanity. So, you know, that was a good idea, but it was wrong. Oh, here's another one that his bankai would involve a drinking game of some kind because, you know, he loves the sake. There's some more that involve gambling, shit like that. But, yeah, you know, we were all wrong. Let's see who got it right. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, you, Michael, Sarah, Lisa, some foreign name I can't pronounce. You guys all got it right. His bankai makes stories come to life. So, congratulations. You can pick up your check at the First National Bank of YouTube with one convenient location in the center of Antarctica. So yeah, after you come back, feel free to let us all know that you were right and we were wrong. Hey everybody, Vampire Tekking here to review Bleach chapter number 648, titled The Theater Suicide, Act 2. And, alright, it's not a straight up, you know, sequentially numbered chapter titles, which is, I was afraid that's what we were going to do with each one of the Stern Ritter battles, you know, like, Baby Hold Your Hand was with, Mayori's, and the Theater Suicide was going to be with Shunsui, so at least he's adapting it to something particular to Shunsui here. But, actually, the chapter does not open up with Shunsui and Lille's fight. No, of course, in typical Kubo fashion, you know, Shunsui released his bankai at the end of the last chapter. We can't have it open up with him using the bankai. That would make too much sense. No, we have to have about half the chapter focusing on something else. With that being said, we cut over to Asken Nak Levar, Sternritter D. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. And I swear to you, if nobody shows up this time, I am going back to the Warwelt, I am going into my room, and I am taking a fucking nap. Because this is way too much trouble for anyone as awesome as myself to be troubled with. Okay, here we go. A 3, a 2, a 1. I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
Why do all my opponents have to get both stronger and weirder at the same time?
Laughing at clouds. Oh shit, yes, finally! I've been doing freaking musical numbers for the past half hour waiting for somebody to show up. Okay, why the hell were you doing that, may I ask? Oh, you know, because it's supposed to hammer it in that that's my personality, kind of the laid-back Stern Ritter, the cool Stern Ritter, you know what I mean? I'm the Stern Ritter that's hip with the kids and don't care about the rules and regulations and all that bullshit. Huh, I see. Well, what's up with Grimchow? Oh, I put that kitty to sleep behind that corner over there. Or was it behind that corner over there? Honestly, this whole place is pretty fucked up. Yuha must have been drunk as shit when he designed this place. Fuck, grimy piece of shit. Anyway, though, you don't have to worry about him. I'm Stern Ritter D, Asken Nak Levar, and I will be your entertainment for the evening. Oh my god, I freaking love this guy. You know, you not see what I just did there? I just completely reworded, you know, Asken's speech to Ichigo just there, and it pretty much completely fit his personality. I am waiting, okay? My 200th chapter review is coming up pretty soon, okay? It's going to be, I think, chapter 655 is going to be my 200th Bleach review, provided I don't miss any until then. And I am hoping to fucking heaven that Askin's fight is during my 200th chapter review. I will have so much fun, it'll be ridiculous. I will be breaking out into a full-fledged, like, 5-minute dance number, and I'll cosplay as Askin for that entire review, okay? Because this guy, I mean, I've already stated how cool he is, how he could just, you know, he's being chased after by Grimmjow, and he decides to have a coffee break. I mean, that takes some brass balls right there. But not only that, I seriously think Kubo is building this guy up to be one of, if not the strongest of the elite Stern Ritters. Just hear me out here, okay? Just hear me out. I know we don't really know that much, like, with the full extent of what he can do, but the fact remains he is such a laid-back guy. And when I got this first impression was when, during Gremmy's fight with Kenpachi, when Askin was just chilling on the roof with the binoculars, having a fucking sandwich. Then and there I knew, this guy is gonna be badass. This guy is gonna be so fucking badass, it's going to, like, break the damn badass meter, okay? It's gonna be epic. And then, just a little bit of a caveat to that, maybe some proof on where Askin stands in terms of power. Remember back when Askin and Harold and Pernita and Lille, the elite Stern Ritters, were taking on Nimaya, and pretty much every single one of the elite Stern Ritters were completely taken out in like one hit by Nimaya. It was like Harold, FTK, Lille, FTK, Pernita, FTK, Askin, FTK. Oh, shit. And that was before Yuha did his Aswallen Holy Selection shit. Nimaya was able to take down all of them, no problem, until Yuha revived them, except for Askin. He's the one that gave him some problems, and I understand that even at the end of that fight, Nimaya won, but Askin was on, like, the same level of Nimaya for a good chunk of that fight. In fact, the only reason Nimaya won that was because Korinji intervened and kind of lent him his power. So that was really more of a fight. That was more of Askin versus Korinji and Nimaya. And, you know, they were able to take him out, combining their powers. But so Askin, without receiving any powers from Yuha, was able to, like, stand toe-to-toe and almost kill Nimaya. Alright, so maybe that is just an example on where an Askin stands, but it's going to be a pretty intense fight, and I can't wait for it. But anyway, yeah, he states that he took out Grimmjow. We still don't really have any updates on, you know, whether or not he's dead or not. Askin just says he, you know, made him take a little nap, so I don't know if that means, you know, take a nap as in I poisoned him and now he's dying, or I literally just knocked him out with one of my powers. I don't know. But anyway, Ichigo just kind of charges directly at him, and Askin he strikes this epic pose like, oh, come on at me, bad boy. Ichigo's charging right at him. Askin standing his ground. He's not afraid at all, when all of a sudden, so the entire area around them just goes like this pitch dark, and they get this like creeping feeling, like a tingle up both of their spines. Like even Askin's a little bit like, whoa, what the fuck was that shit? And then we cut over to see where Gonju, Chad, and Orihime are. Actually, we don't really know where they are. We know, like, I guess they split up, you know, to go search for Grimmjow and Askin, because, you know, they were kind of like, they got separated from the group, so I guess they all split up to try to find them. So I guess they're all at different locations. Gonju is noting that the sky turned dark and now it's freezing, and Chad is like on top of a building, and he's like, no, it's not really like it's cold in the sense that the temperature dropped. It's cold like in the sense like you have the chills, you know, like, you know, you're in your room late at night, and, you know, you're sitting there in your bed and you can hear creaking sounds coming from your closet or behind your bed, and you're just like, ooh, you know, the horrors that bump in the night. Oh. Yeah, kind of like that. It's okay, Cone, it's okay. We're good. I'm a vampire. I can take anything on. And we also cut to Orihime as well, who also pretty much just notes the same thing, that she's got chills, you know, trembling, her hands are shaking. And then we cut back over to Ichigo, who kind of recognizes the Ryatsu as, wait a minute, this is Kyoraku. This is, you know, what's up with him? This is such a foreboding kind of sensation, but it has his Ryatsu attached to it. So we get the title of the chapter, Theater Suicide Scene 2, sorry, not Act 2, sorry about that. And then we get, then we cut over to Lille and see what he's doing, which, going through a form change seems like it, but I don't really know the purpose of that. In fact, I want to say that really there is no, like, actual purpose, like, in the sense that Lille decided to change his form, because there isn't. Lille was kicking fucking Shunsui's ass up to this point, and Lille had that inflated sense of ego, like, you know, there's no way you can defeat me now. You can't dodge me, you can't evade me, you can't run from me, you're dead. You know, it's just a matter of whenever I decide to kill you. So I'm actually going to say this form change might go back to the similarities between, like, Aizen and the Soul King. How maybe Aizen's evolution was constant, and this is kind of like an evolution that would have occurred anyway. Like, Lille does not make the conscious effort to change his form. Like, his form is just constantly changing and evolving, and it might be leading to something else. You know, this is going to play an important part, because Kubo makes an important part to show that his form is changing, and Lille doesn't seem to bring it up in any way, like, oh, I'm changing my form. So this is probably going to come up in maybe next chapter, like Lille's about to die, and he's like, no, you can't kill me because my form is constantly evolving because I'm in this form of a god. But anyway, he notices that the sky has turned dark as well, although he doesn't seem to note that he's, you know, shaking or in fear or anything like that. We then have Shunsui, who arrives on the scene. He has the same appearance he had earlier. Nothing really seems to have changed about his swords or anything like that, but we have this mysterious kind of shadowy aura just emanating from behind him, or from his body, I guess. It kind of just ignores the whole aspect last chapter with the cool little shadowy pine needles and the creepy shadowy visage over his body, and that just disappears. But anyway, he stares over at him, and he's just like, oh, are we done rutting, are we? And Shunsui brings up something very interesting. He mentions, like, what are you seeing right now? Or would you mind telling me how you're perceiving the world right now? As if, you know, the way that, you know, everyone perceives the world is different. It's not like a constant thing. It's not like his bankai actually altered the sky. It's more of just like everyone's perception of it changes. You know, that might be a better way to say it. And Lille even brings up earlier, is like, is this an illusion? Is this reality? I'm not really sure. But Lille mentions, oh, well, you know, the sky's gotten darker, and Shunsui's like, ah, yes, well, it is perhaps a gloom and destitute place, full of melancholy and despair. Oh, crap, we're going back into Ukiora territory now. Ukiora! Please, come back and save the Bleach universe. You're the only thing that made it bearable. Yeah, I don't really think that, but a lot of people do, so I had to give fan service to those. I care about you guys, I really do. I really do. Anyway, Lille states that even though the sky has darkened, he doesn't have any sense of melancholy or anything like that. In fact, the idea of a god like himself becoming depressed, well, a messenger of God feels no such emotions. Yeah, I don't know. Tell that to Mercury. He seems like a pretty depressed dude. Yeah? Fuck yeah, I'm depressed. You don't even know what it's like. Freaking Zeus and Ares always asking me to run their errands. Hey, Mercury, pass this message along. Hey, Mercury, just go to the other side of Olympus and deliver this message to the sirens. Yeah, no one cares about my feelings. Anyway, though, Lille shoots himself up into the sky, and he looks like he's charging up 6 more of his light beams from the wings that are now below him, and he fires off this big ultimate, like, Kamehameha, like, directly down in Shunsui's direction. The blast is so strong, it pretty much levels an entire, like, one of the sides of the Warwell Castle, and they crumble down into, like, the abyss that is, like, the gap between the Soul Society and the Soul Palace. Oh, damn, Yuha's not gonna like that. That's gonna cost a lot for repairs. Huh? What? Lille, you son of a bitch, you're gonna freaking pay for that. You're gonna freaking Home Depot and get some illegal Iran cars to do it for you. And Lille states that even though they have no data on Shunsui's bankai, it doesn't even matter, because he knows enough to state that the owner of the katana dies, then the bankai will simply vanish. Hey, don't you guys have an ability to, like, steal bankai? Wouldn't that be, like, immensely useful right now? Oh, right, yeah, because you can't use it with the Volt standing, which that doesn't even make any sense. Like, seriously, how the fuck does that make any sense? You know, you have this special medallion that can steal a bankai, but you can't use Volt Standing while you have the bankai. I mean, I guess you can maybe say it's because the Volt Standing's like the pure Quincy form, and the Shinigami's bankai would be corrupting that, but I honestly think that's just like a bullshit excuse, you know, Kubo to throw in there to make sure the Quincy's couldn't be too OP. Yeah, and I wonder how that applies for Yuha, because Yuha still has Yamamoto's bankai, which I swear, if they forget that Yuha has Yama's bankai, and that just never comes up again, I'm gonna be pretty pissed. But I wonder if Yuha has a Volt Standing in that regard. I wonder if he even applies to that, because he's a Quincy. I mean, he's so many things. We don't even know if he's a legitimate Quincy. Like, we don't even know that much. His father's the Soul King. He could be anything, is what I'm saying. But anyway, yeah, Lille seems pretty confident that he just nuked Shunsui when he looks down at his side and he notices that he has a big gash, very similar to the gash that he caused Shunsui 2 chapters ago when he released his Volt Standing for the first time. So we reveal that Shunsui was not damaged by this attack at all and states that this occurrence on Lille's body is the result of the first dawn, hesitating sharing of the wound. Yeah, so Shunsui's bankai is broken up into like different levels, or in this translation, they're dawns. Now, I'm a little bit confused of why Kubo went with this, because in every translation, it's either level or dawn or rank, something along those lines. If his bankai is clearly, and he'll explain it more in detail, but it's clearly taking parts of like a play or a story and making it reality. Why wouldn't they be chapters or acts or scenes? Levels just seems odd, you know? But anyway, he states that this is the first level and it's hesitating sharing of the wound. Any wounds that you inflict on your opponent's body will emerge on your own body as if shared. This, of course, reflects in the 2 major wounds that Shunsui has on his body, the one that's basically taking out his side and the one along his shoulder, which also appears on Lille as well. So there's that. And thing I want to bring up, actually, just one side note. People have been saying, and this was almost on my fan page, people were complaining that Kubo was ripping off Kishimoto here with the idea that, like, oh, any wound you inflict on me will be inflicted on yourself because of Hidan. And they also bring up, you know, oh, well, he ripped off Hidan here, and that's from Naruto. And oh, and he also ripped off that infinite, Izanami thing whenever Mayuri did his thing with Toshiro, the drug that, like, looped everything. And I just want to say that just from, like, not only the fact that this is not a very complicated concept, you know, ooh, a technique that allows my wounds to be reflected onto my enemy and vice versa. That's a technique that has never been thought of before in fiction. I want to bring up something that's personal for me here. When I was a kid growing up in my neighborhood, I would have a lot of friends. Yeah, I had friends at one point. Yeah, believe it or not, they all moved away and they're gone now. But, you know, I used to have friends. And what I would do is I would come up with ideas for games we could play. I would invent these stories in my head and we would all play as the characters. And one of the stories that I had a guy that had a special power like this. Keep in mind, this was before I read Bleach or Naruto or anything. This was like in 1999, 2000, you know? I had an idea for a character that had a power like this. So it's not a very complicated thing. And, yeah, I don't see any reason why you could say that he stole it. And also the whole Tsukuyomi thing. Yeah, Kurama did that shit back in like 92 with Yu Yu Hakusho. Yeah, Kurama's Sinning Tree. That was the Izanami right there. Did I say Tsukuyomi? I meant Izanami. But anyway, yeah, that's the first ability there. And the second thing I want to bring up is that this is eerily similar, remarkably similar to the way that Rose's bankai, Kinshara Butodan, was constructed. So for a little bit of a memory road trip thing, so Rose's bankai, Kinshara Butodan, it summoned like that dance troupe, and then it was divided into like different, you know, acts of a play, and, you know, it could inflict different damage upon the opponent. It's like the same exact thing that Shunsui's doing here, and I guess the only difference I could come up with here is that, number one, Rose's bankai focused on kind of illusions, you know, using sound to kind of manipulate your opponent. I think it's completely possible here that what they're experiencing is real. It's not like Lille is just imagining these wounds. He's actually being hurt. The second thing is, I looked at Rose because his whole motive was like music, and actually in his bankai, his sword became like a conductor's wand. You know, he was like conducting an orchestra, and then you have the dance troupe that's actually dancing to that orchestra, and he's like the, you know, the conductor of all this. You know, that's the way I look at Rose's bankai, and then, you know, Shunsui's bankai is actually a story that is being made reality. This is another reason why I would have liked him to break up his stories into, like, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, not Level 1, Level 2, because that's very similar to the way Rose structured his. You know, I'm just saying. But anyway, back to the actual story. I just wanted to bring up those 2 points there. So, Shunsui states that, yes, this is his bankai, and it's Katen Kyokatsu Kuramatsu Shinju, once again referring to the, you know, the lover's suicide aspect of it. Like, it's a big deal. Like, he brings up lover's suicide. I don't know if this means, like, it's just to indicate, you know, him and his opponent, or when it says lover's suicide, it means, like, people that actually have to be in love with each other. In which case, even if you involve Nanao, that's kind of like, really, do they have that kind of romantic relationship going on? I mean, I know there's fanfics out there, but in the context of the story, is that really where Kubo wanted to go with those 2 relationships? Because I really don't see that. But anyway, he strikes an epic fucking stance with his sword, of course, because he's Shunsui, and shadows begin to erupt all over it, and he states that now, now we have to move on to the second dawn, the Bed of Shame. He states that with this story, it's the tale of a warrior or a soldier returning from war, returning from battle, and he got injured by an opponent, so he just like lays in his bed all day and just like laments his own existence, you know, and eventually he contracts an incurable disease. So the aspect of this level is a disease. So with that being the case, Lille's body begins to sprout like these lesions or black spots all over it, and he begins to erupt blood from his mouth and nose, and his eyes begin to bleed all over the place. And then finally, to close out the chapter, Shunsui moves on to the third dawn, Django's Abyss. And then like the entire area just gets completely submerged. You know, Lille and Shunsui completely covered in water. It looks like an entire ocean just manifested around them. And, you know, Lille begins to drowning. And I love these eyes he's poking. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? You know, and you have Shunsui who's there, and he's just like, those having resolved themselves, cast their bodies into the water, gushing forth, until both their Ryatsus completely expire. And he says that shit like a motherfucking boss. He doesn't act surprised or scared. He just tells it like it is. This is my bankai, last-ditch effort. I don't like to use it, but here we are. You're gonna die with me, you know, and that's how the chapter ends. So, first off, I think we can understand now maybe why Shunsui didn't want to use this in Fate Karakura Town when there's other people around, because the whole idea with like the wound sharing thing alone, that might indicate like any wound that he gets, not just on his opponent, but like everybody around him that gets encapsulated by his bankai have to deal with that problem, sharing wounds. And I say this because in his Shikai, anything that his Ryatsu encompassed became the territory of his Shikai, the territory of his games. I think probably the same concept would apply right here with his bankai. Anyone that's in the immediate vicinity of Shoraku's Ryatsu gets sucked into it. So next chapter, nobody's going to die next chapter. It's probably going to be Lille pulling some other kind of evolution form that kind of negates the damage. But I don't think, like I said, this is going to end with Lille dying, okay? If Shunsui uses his bankai and it doesn't kill his opponent, that's a pretty big FU to the audience. But hey, so was waiting so long to reveal the Zero Squad and having them all taken off pretty much off screen. So, with Kubo, you never know. But, yeah, I don't think this is the way it's going to go. It's not going to end next chapter, but there's still going to be more build-up. I also want to say, I wonder if, like, his bankai is always limited to these stories. Like, if he could just... I mean, with his Shikai, in theory, couldn't he pick just any game and then just make a game out of it with his... make a game out of it in reality with his Shikai? Couldn't he make any story up here? In which case, Game of Thrones, make that. Oh yeah, everyone would die. There's that, and there's also the aspect people have been saying, like, this fight's been going too fast, and I'm like, hey, with Mayuri and Pernida, I mean, Mayuri was a genius, but the Elite Sternridge are pretty tough. I can see that being an even fight. Shunsui is and always has been, supposed to be anyway, one of the top-tier members of this series. You know, you think of top-tier Bleach, what do you think of? Well, you're thinking before the whole 1,000-Year Blood War arc, before Yuha and the like, you think Yamamoto, Unohana, Shunsui, Uruhara, Ukitake, you know, those guys. And Shunsui's up there. So the fight moving this fast, I'm not surprised by it at all. In fact, it's moving at a good enough pace that I can believe. In fact, I wouldn't even say if it would end in anywhere from 2 to 4 chapters, it might start winding down already. Probably more like 2 to 3. But yeah, so that's it, guys. Tekking signing out. What do you guys think's going to happen next is my question. All right, this could go either way. And Nanau's still nowhere to be seen, but everyone thinks she's going to play a critical role here. They're not just going to ignore Nanau, okay? Nanau's going to come back, and it's going to involve something. All right, but what do you guys think? Tekking signing out. Laters.